And welcome back, folks, to the Ray Lucia Show, Southern Rock Day. We're doing a little Southern rock music. That's the Outlaws for you. Thanks to my man Curtis. 844-RAY-SHOW, the number if you want to get on board. Emails coming up in just a bit, so stick around. RayLucia.com. We'll also check in with Steve Alladort on mortgage rates and so forth. Steve always brings us some very interesting information. You know, I was just reporting on what Andrea Coombs wrote about on Market Watch this morning, actually. What retirement crisis? She says it's all good. And she's talking about people in retirement, and regardless of how much in assets they have, for the most part, in the 80s, in the mid 80 percentile range, people are doing fine. They've adapted just fine and dandy. That is, of course, until they start to lose their health. And then there's a whole other issue, why we talk about long-term health care insurance and having the financial resources available in the event you need some kind of assisted or assistance at home or in some form of an assisted living facility. Joining me on the program right now is someone that knows quite a bit about that. Her name, Karena Kirk. She's from the flooded Houston, Texas, and she's got more than 15 years in healthcare management. Received her bachelor's in finance, which is why we have her on this program. Because if she doesn't want to talk about, healthcare, we'll talk about money. Karena, thank you for joining us. She's from Always Best Care. That's alwaysbestcare.com. How are you today, Karena?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much, Ray.
Very quickly, your bachelor's in finance. How did you go from finance to healthcare?
Well, it goes back to when I was actually younger. When I was 16, I worked for a small hospital in my hometown. And I always knew from the very beginning I wanted to be in healthcare. I didn't want to be a doctor. I'm not necessarily geared that way. But when I met the administrator, it was like an epiphany. It was like the sliding doors opened, the administrator of the hospital walked in. I said, that's my job. That's what I want to do. I want to be the person that coordinates all of the different modules of the delivery of care, because that's what's important. It's not necessarily just the doctor who provides the care. It's not just the patient who may or may not be compliant with the instructions of the doctor, but it's the person who is pulling all the pieces together for that individual.
I spent a couple of...
I went from finance to healthcare.
I spent a couple of unfortunate days in a hospital about 3 months ago, and I saw the doctor. I added it up for a total of 3 minutes in 2 days. And the nurses were really the ones that took care of me on a daily basis. So talk about what your services are. What are the types of services that you provide through Always Best Care?
Thank you for asking that question. So the services that we provide from Always Best Care is what we call non-medical. And these are services that it doesn't have to be a doctor, it doesn't have to be a nurse, but it's the services that help anyone, regardless of age or health, just to get through their day just a little bit happier, healthier, and safer. So we all know that age does not discriminate. The part that we can't control is our health. But what we do as caregivers, and that's kind of the title I use, our personal attendants, is we offer services such as we become the mode of transportation for someone to go to and from doctor's appointments or to and from social activities or any other activities to get them out of their homes. We become the person who is responsible for making sure they take their medications every day, or the people who help with general housekeeping, homemaker type tasks. Those are things that we do that don't really require a whole lot of hands-on. It's more personal companionship, making sure they're active, engaged during the day, and safe. As someone's needs change, then we change with them. And so maybe we're providing more hands-on help for those that maybe mobility is becoming a huge concern, or just the task of personal hygiene is becoming harder and harder every day. So it's not that we strip the person of their independent abilities, but we're more or less just supplementing. And for families, that's very, very important because we become their peace of mind. It's almost like we become an extension of the family members. We're the eyes and the ears. We're all very proud and independent people as we live our lives. That doesn't change when we get older. What does change is that our bodies may not work the same way that they used to, or mentally or cognitively. We're just not as sharp as we used to be. I say, and I joke with my clients, well, you've earned the right to forget every now and again. Well, that's where we come in and we just help supplement what they can and can't do.
Very good. Special guest, Karena Kirk from Houston, Texas. If you happen to be in Houston, you want to get a hold of Karena. Perhaps you have a parent or a grandparent. Perhaps you have a family member or a friend that may need some sort of non-medical care, either at home or a referral. They're a terrific resource, and I'll get to that momentarily. 855-470-CARE is the number. AlwaysBestCare.com is how you can check them out online. You know, Karena, when I was an advisor years back, I didn't know everything. I tried to stay up to speed on as many things as I could, but I didn't know everything, but I knew how to find the right resource to help my client. How do you interface with your particular clients as a resource?
Well, that's truly what I want to be for anyone who is on this journey with their loved one, or whether or not it's the person themselves going through the journey. I am not the end-all, be-all. But what I do try to accomplish is, if I don't have the answer, then I hope I know the person who does have the answer. In times of changing healthcare or health needs, it can be very overwhelming. You never want to find yourself on the tail end of it where you're just kind of holding on. You still want to be in a place that you have options, that you're still a part of what's happening to you and helping to make the decisions that affect you. And that's exactly what I try to be, is someone who can provide options, someone who can help you plan of, okay, here's what's happening, here's what you should expect, here's how you can start making steps to continue to either live at home, and here are the resources that you're going to need, whether that be monetary resources, whether that be assistant resources like the actual person coming to your home and helping your loved one, or whether that be the person who's identifying appropriate places for you to receive the level of care that you need. Staying at home is not in the best interest of everyone. For some it is. Some that's what they want to do. Others, maybe financial reasons, they can't afford to live at home and maintain all the expenses that, are incurred with that. So my job truly is, when crisis hits, or if it's not a crisis, we're planning for it, and for me to be able to give a family options.
All right, Karena Kirk from Houston, Texas. Contact her today if you happen to be in the Houston area. If not, Always Best Care is a nationwide organization. They do a terrific job. Go to alwaysbestcare.com. That's alwaysbestcare.com. Check them out. Or simply call 855-470-CARE. 855-470-CARE. Thank you, Karena. You did fantastic.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
You betcha. I understood she was a little bit nervous, but she did fantastic. She really did a nice job. Okay, Steve Aladort next. There's a nice job coming up for you. Now, I'm going to explain to him why he's going to stay in business for a while, because the Fed's not raising interest rates anytime soon based on the data that I have. We'll check in with Steve. We would see what he says. Don't go away.